Kiran, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Why don't you start with a bit of your impression on this?
My name is Kiran and I've been with Snap for 18 months now in capacity of a Senior Privacy Program Manager, and currently my role is to establish the privacy program from privacy by design to privacy operations. Part of that process, one of the biggest challenges that we have is to identify and classify the data in all of our data sources. When I started, we had a privacy policy and we know what kind of data we were collecting, but identifying those data sources where the data is being stored and what kind of data we have and who has access to it was problems that I was hired to solve. When we started looking at the breadth of the data that we have, we understood quickly that there is no single silver bullet to solve all of our problems. So we thought, let's prioritize the requirements. The top 3 requirements for us was to identify the data and classify the data. That's how we started prioritizing those 2 requirements and started to look at the different tools that are available in the market. And being an IAP member and being in privacy for almost 6-7 years now, I had access to different tools that were available in the market, but none of the tools were kind of coming close to what we were looking for. Either the price was too high or possibly it was not doing the whole thing, that identification and classification of our data. And because we also had a requirement to not only identify and classify the data, also identify our data sources too. That's how we were looking at different tools.
Yeah, if I remember some time back when you were doing the discovery of all different tools, I remember that we were looking at close to like 40 tools out there in the market and figuring out like which one works for what use cases and so on and so forth. How did you go about finalizing on LightBeam solution for yourself?
So when we started looking at different tools, based on the IAPP vendors list, I went through literally analyzing the 40 different tools that were available for us and spoke to each one of them, understanding and prioritizing the requirements and talking to them on a regular basis to come up with, okay, how can you solve our problem in identifying and classifying the data? And being a medium scale business ourselves, we were looking at somebody who can partner with us, not just solve one or the other problem for us. We wanted a partner that can kind of understand our problem and kind of grow the technology along with us. So that's where we identified LightBeam, and LightBeam was introduced to us from our CISO, who was back then was working with us, and he was introduced to LightBeam through Zscaler's CISO, and that's how we got introduced. And I'm glad that we got introduced, because when we started looking at LightBeam, we had a whole bunch of requirements given to them, and the entire roadmap was shared with them so that they can understand what we are looking for, rather than just promising the moon and not delivering it like some of the tools that we saw in the market. LightBeam was there for us to kind of understand the way we want it and how it has to be implemented, not only by designing the implementation along with the roadmap. They were also part of every step to identify the data sources that we have. And the best part of it was the customer success team. They were contacting us or in connect with us on a regular basis. They understood the problem and they provided the solution that was amicable to us. Not just, hey, I have this tool, I have this, solution that may work for you. They literally sat with us as a design partner, and we went back to the drawing board and started to understand how we can integrate LightBeam into our environment, because ours is a complex and unique environment like any other companies that we have right now, and data was all over the place. And having that design partner in LightBeam helped us a lot, because the POC part went smooth. We kind of identified the data sources and there was no sales rush on us. That kind of gave us the flexibility to understand what are the capabilities of the tool, and if the tool was kind of providing us some information, they were ready to listen to our feedback and implement that feedback into the roadmap, which gave us the flexibility not only to hey, we can only solve one or the other problem. Right now we have a partner in LightBeam that can help us to grow with us. Like I said, as a technology partner, they can build with our data sources. So now we have the confidence that even if I spin up a new data source tomorrow, or if my analytics team decides to do something different with the data, I know exactly how to integrate it with LightBeam, and I know how to identify the data, I know how to classify the data, and now I can take the next step in the data governance. That's the goal, that's the end goal that we're trying to achieve, to kind of provide the access controls of the data that we have. And being in a financial sector, it's more important for us to kind of control that data access, not just provide access to everything that everybody asks for. So if marketing team wants, they can get only the non-sensitive data. Analytics team want, they can get some sort of anonymized or pseudo-anonymized or even masked data. Now, if a customer care rep wants to see, they know exactly what data they need to access. So that's a roadmap we are trying to build with LightBeam, and I would say we are successfully done so far. It's identifying and classifying, and we are in the progress of implementing the next stages of data governance, which we are happy to say that we made much progress than what we started with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the kind words. We really appreciate it. The team is super excited to be working with you and your team. Let's take it away from LightBeam for a second. We are here at IAPP Global Privacy Summit. There are probably 40, 50 vendors out there. I would like to ask you what message you have for privacy tools that are there in the market, as to how would you like them to shape their roadmap, which then becomes more real and more useful for you as a customer?
You cannot throw a tool at a problem, right? So as a privacy expert, what I'm trying to understand is basically if I can solve a problem with a tool, good. But if I can solve 2 or 3 problems, then from budget perspective, I have one hand up, because not only privacy folks are fighting for the budget, security is also fighting for the budget along with you. And if security says I can protect the data, then privacy gets a second chance in claiming that budget. Because if security says I've encrypted everything, there's nothing you can look at it, now you have a problem in claiming the budget or getting that tool that you want. And the biggest challenge any company has is having that data governance, starting from lineage, glossary, to access controls, to identifying and building that trust for the end consumer, right? So if you are in the tool space from privacy perspective, I would recommend to kind of look at how you can solve not just one problem, right? If you talk to a privacy expert or anybody in the privacy space, first thing they would come up is, hey, we can solve the DSAR problem for you, right? But does everybody have the DSAR problem? No, not everybody has a DSAR problem. Like if you are in a space where there are other regulations that take over privacy regulation, right? Like for example, GLBA trumps CCPA and any other regulation out there. If that is the case, then DSARs is not a big selling point for you. So what else can you do to help a privacy expert in that space? So what you can do is probably look at privacy by design, how you can help in data minimization, or how you can help the privacy experts in anonymizing the data, because analytics is going to be key in the market, right? So data is a new goal, and everybody wants to perform analytics. Machine learning, artificial intelligence is going to take over the world. Now, if artificial intelligence comes up and it can consume a lot of data that you don't have to worry about running the machine learning or the algorithms yourself. Just write the code and it takes care of itself. Now, how do you control and protect individuals' privacy when you're running a algorithm that consumes terabytes of data? How do you make sure that there's no bias in place and all that? So when you're looking at holistic perspective, think about data governance. How can you help in terms of from the design and collection of data, the entire life cycle of data, right? So not just collection, processing, transmitting, and the deletion and retention of data. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there is no single silver bullet that can solve all the problem for data. If there was, then it's a different story altogether. But if we can solve not just one problem, that will definitely help, because you don't have to worry about the budget, you don't have to worry about how can I implement this. And if you look at the privacy space, either the lawyers or the privacy experts in an organization, or probably there's one DPO and one privacy engineer. Not every organization have tons of privacy engineers who can help you out. So you need to have that collaboration between teams, which means you need to educate them, or other teams like development teams, sales, marketing, and all the other teams that you need to educate as well. And when you're trying to kind of solve the privacy problem in a holistic way, think about what other problems for an organization that you can solve. Security space, you have the code scanning tools which are already in place. People can, kind of tell you how the data is moving in that space. So that's also one thing that you can look at. And like shifting left is it's not a new term, but it's a new term in privacy, right? So privacy engineering, and how you can help integrate that privacy engineering into privacy operations.